the welcoming nature of the Persian people for Imam al-Rida, because this is something which is very strange for me, and maybe we can answer that. So I'd like to answer this call. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Salam, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, it's a very small question regarding Imam Reza al-Islam's life, is that every Imam is either in Iraq or in Medina or in Saudi Arabia. And like Imam's father, Imam Musa Kazim al-Islam himself, he was in Iraq when he was martyred. Then why did Imam Reza al-Islam traveled all the way from Iraq to Iran? Like there were very few followers of Imam at that time, and all the Bani Hashim, all the family of Holy Prophet was going through hard time as always. Then why did the Imam chose to leave Saudi Arabia or Iraq and go towards the other side of the world, where people weren't aware, or if they were, a very small population of Muslims were aware of Holy Prophet's family?
I understand the question. Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, brother. Actually, we discussed this earlier in the show very briefly. It was actually Imam Reza was living in Medina at the time, and it was the Caliph of his time, Ma'mun, who actually summoned him and forced him to go to Iran, to go to Khorasan. So the Imam didn't go through his own free will. He was brought there by the Caliph. However, you touched on a very important point, and this was going to be a question of mine. The brother said that the Imam perhaps didn't have that many followers in, why would he go to Iran? He didn't. Maybe the people didn't know about him. But actually, we read in the history books that the people of Persia welcomed him with open arms. And I suppose the brother raises an interesting point, which is that if somebody's living in Medina or someone's living in Iraq, how did the Persians hear about him and have such a love for him when he's so far away? I mean, how did the people of Iran, modern-day Iran, love the Imam so much?
Well, you know, people seem to forget the fact that when the Abbasids had risen against the Umayyads, they had strong support from that part of the world, you know. And the support was under the banner that we're going to give back authority to the family of the Prophet, and we're going to avenge the oppression that had happened to them. So if you were to study the early Abbasid raids, you have Persian support, which is definitely part of the overthrow of the Umayyads at the time. The Persian support was not very much happy at the Umayyad policies. They weren't with them, and they definitely wanted an overthrow of them. So already there's a backdrop of them wanting the Umayyads removed because of the Umayyads' oppression to either Hussein ibn Ali alayhi salam or Zayd ibn Ali alayhi salam and so on. And then later on, of course, they're still thinking that this authority is going to be given back towards the family of the Prophet. They're a bit suspect why Harun al-Rashid does not give it to Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, why there isn't any favorable mention of Imam Ali ibn Musa. So Al-Ma'mun quietens them down by saying, look, I'll bring him here just to make sure that you don't feel that we are still looking after them.
So the Persians had a very pro-Shia tendency.
Pro family of the Prophet tendency.
Family from the Prophet.
Yeah.
Before we take this next call, I want to ask you about the importance of the Muharram Majalis and keeping the spirit of remembering Imam Hussein alive. And if you could explain that for us, please, brother.
Yes, well, in terms of as we said, Imam Ali ibn Musa rada alayhi salam, there is very few people like him who stressed on the importance of the Majalis for Muharram. Like as we said, when he'd bring Abdullah ibn Thabit or Ja'bal ibn Ali al-Khaza'i and others, he'd sit them down and he'd say, let's congregate to remember. And he began this in
Okay.
Before he went towards the land of Tus, he began this in where his first Muharram, where he made a congregation, was in in that part of the world. And he sat down, he brought the reciters, and he said, organize a majlis to remember Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. But it's important for us to understand that it's not just Muharram when majalis are important. Why? Because there may be people who are watching the show tonight who, if you ask them this Tuesday, are you going to the wilada of Imam al-Rida alayhi salam? They'll say, listen, brother, to say the truth, Tuesday I finished my last meeting at 7 o'clock. I'm going to be, absolutely knackered. I'm going to get home late. You find that it's not right that we only turn up 10 nights a year. There are some followers of ahlulbayt, you only see them 10 nights a year. If you're lucky,
Yeah.
some you may even see only 1 night a year. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam only recently was his martyrdom. You had many mosques in London which were closed. The Iraqi community, as an example, was non-existent in terms of its programs. And I'm 100% certain that 70-80% of the Iraqi community in London this Tuesday will not be going to any mosque. There'll be many who will just be sitting at home doing absolutely nothing. So you find here that that's a community which definitely needs to ask itself a question, that when they honor Imam al-Hussein Muharram, are they honoring the grandson of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or is that a cultural event that everyone's got to be part of? So we have to be making sure that every majlis is honored. Imam Ali ibn Musa Rada alayhi salam would ensure that every majlis is honored. What's a majlis? A majlis, number one, reminds you of the message of the Prophet and his family. Number two, recharges your battery if you felt the weak spiritually has not been strong. Number three, socially allows you to interact with the elders and the youth of the community, asking who's in need of help, how's everyone's developing in their life. So it's vital that we continue this legacy of the Imam, where our majalis, be it a wilada or a shahada, are the very basis of our development as a social community.
Sure. And I believe we do have another caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Brother, I just asked a very good question just a minute ago.
Sure.
And I'm lucky to get through it back to you again. Just a very last question. I'm not sure if public is aware of this, that in Nishapur, when Imam Reza went there, and there's a place called Imam Reza's Qadamgah Imam Reza al-Islam, and there is a well there which is giving the water out non-stop, which is similar to the Zamzam, which every Muslim, whenever he hears the Zamzam, they run towards it and try to drink it as a good thing. Just more question to Brother Ammar, is the value of Zamzam and the value of Qadamgah Imam Reza al-Islam, is it equal, or is there a difference in the value? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, brother. Do you want to pick up on that question?
Yeah, well, you look at, such a question, and you have to just come forward and state that, look, Zamzam is the purest water on the earth. It's holy water. It's got curing effects. It was there and present to help Ismail and Hajar. And this water at the shrine of Imam Ali ibn Musa Rada, considering it's water that surrounds the shrine of a revered saint of the religion of Islam, is also something to be revered, but nothing comes near Zamzam as being something historically proven to be a pool or a spring which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to quench the thirst of a prophet of God. Likewise, on the point about the well, you also have Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam outside his haram in Baghdad. There is a well similar as well. So there are these wells which are there, which are fountains to serve the people. But in Islam, the origin of all wells and the fountain spring is seen as being Zamzam.
I actually want to tie into this point, as you are well aware, it's a cause that's very, dear to your heart, is the case of Jannat Baqi. And I actually had a discussion with a brother from another school of Islam, and he's an expert on the issue of Jannat Baqi and the destruction of the holy sites in Medina. And he actually mentioned to me that actually now, because of what the authorities in Saudi Arabia are doing, that even the water of Zamzam is becoming contaminated, and it's not even as pure as it used to be. And it's being mixed with other water streams. And now, in order to get that pure Zamzam, you have to put it through a distillation, I think, about 7 times. So, I mean, if you'd like to just comment.
Yeah, even not only is the water, unfortunately, not as pure as it was, but at the same time, they're even covering where you could originally have seen the fountain emerge from. Because they say too many people are coming to watch this fountain. So they actually covered it with cement and with bricks now. And unfortunately, that's part of their behavior and trying to stop all Islamic heritage.
So what can we do in order to keep the spirit alive? Because I notice generally that with some of our brothers and sisters, all of us to be fair, we go on a demonstration perhaps and we say that there's a Jannat Baqi week. Once it passes, then that's it, we finish, and we don't really open the case again, and we don't really revisit the situation. What can we do to keep putting pressure on the authorities to reconsider their movements and to try to get them to rebuild Jannat Baqi and to restore the holy sites, which are unfortunately being destroyed within Saudi Arabia?
As I said previously, Jannat Baqi is not a Shia issue and it's not a Sunni issue, it's a Muslim issue. And it's vital that we find, when we look at this particular issue, that every Muslim stands up to protect their heritage. Every Muslim in this world has to stand up against the atrocities that are being performed in Saudi Arabia against Islamic architecture, Islamic culture, Islamic heritage. I find certain people in the world today, it's unbelievable. They'll sit down and they'll say, you know, let's read books about Persian heritage. Let's read books about Palestinian heritage. Let's read books about Iraqi heritage. You tell them, how about your own Islamic heritage that's been destroyed? Do you know anything about it? They reply, no, we don't know much about it. Unfortunately, them not speaking out, it's the silence at the end that allows people to remain like this. All of us have to speak out.
Inshallah, I hope that we will be able to take one more call. Assalamu alaikum. No call? Okay, I'd just like to remind viewers that we are approaching the end of the show, and inshallah I hope that we'll have time for one more call, although I'm not sure. Anyway, the number is 0208 900 1741. That's 0208 900 1741. And tonight we've been discussing the life of Imam Reza, and I'd like to again speak about how blessed and how lucky we are to have Sayyid Ammar Nakshwani with us, and to be touching on all these topics, because, you know, I myself and all of the brothers and sisters watching have learnt a lot from these sessions. And so inshallah this will be a show every Saturday from 8 till 10 on ahlebait TV, Sky channel 836. So inshallah, if you join us next week, we'll be able to deal with these with another topic, inshallah. I think, not sure yet, but next week we'll be dealing with misconceptions of the Shia religion and how people may have misconceptions about the school of ahlulbayt. So from myself, Isa Ali, and from my guest, Sayyid Ammar Nakshwani, until next Saturday at 8 PM, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.